There we go. All right, so I'll start with this. A friend of mine once told me that I have the toughest job in the world. And I thought about that for a little bit, and I thought, he's right. I work with a lot of architects. And some of them can be assholes. But that's not even what he was talking about. And by the way, I'm just kidding. I love you, Tom Maine. What he meant was that whenever I come to give a talk about Make It Right, people in the audience are really hoping that it's going to be Brad Pitt who shows up instead of me. So I'm coming out of the gate with a deficit. So sorry about that, but tough luck. So speaking of Brad, you may have heard that he loves New Orleans. He loves the people. He loves the culture. He loves the Saints. I mean, who doesn't love the Saints, right? Who dat? And he especially loves the people of the lower Ninth Ward. And this neighborhood sat devastated and largely vacant even 2 years after the storm when Brad started Make It Right. And really, all that remained were a few FEMA trailers like this one. And this FEMA trailer belongs to a gentleman named Robert Green, who you'll get to hear from in just a minute here. And Robert was the first person that I ever met in the lower Ninth Ward. So I was in North Carolina. I'm from North Carolina. I live in New Orleans now, but I was working on some real estate projects in North Carolina with a partner in that business who's from New Orleans during 2005 when the storm hit. And so we wanted to do something to get involved and volunteer and help out with the recovery. And we heard about Brad's idea for building green homes in the Ninth Ward. And so we went down and volunteered to do some research. And that research turned into, it was essentially a feasibility analysis, which turned into a plan, turned into a presentation to Brad, which then turned into a few months of volunteering, and then eventually a full-time job for me. So what I thought was going to be a 3-week volunteer experience has really been the past almost 4 years of my life. I knocked on the door of Robert's trailer on my first trip to the lower Ninth, and I asked him about his plans for rebuilding. And he started talking to me about his story, and it's incredibly powerful, and so I thought that you all might like to hear some of it. So can we roll the first video?
The house to the right hit our house, the house to the left hit our house, pushed us into the middle of the street, and the current just took us away. I took my granddaughter, Shanae, put her on the roof of the house, turned around to get her sister, and in the time that I turned around, she was slipped off the roof, washed away in 25 feet of water. When the hurricane was over, my mother literally passed. She died, and she laid on the roof with her eyes open with a leaf in her mouth.
Yeah, what's really amazing is that this happened in an American city, right? And it's really sad, but Robert's story is all too common. Over 1,800 people died in the lower Ninth Ward alone. So families are still spread all over the country, and they want desperately to come back and rebuild. And so they want to come back to the homes where they grew up, the homes where the lots where they bought their first home, where they raised their children. And our job at Make It Right is to help them do that, but help them rebuild in a way that's smarter and better than what they had before, and build houses that look like this. This is the house that we built for Robert. So at Make It Right, sorry. I'd like to talk to you today about our design strategy at Make It Right and how we're implementing that in New Orleans. And I'll say that, well, you may have heard the adage, you can have it fast, cheap, or well-made. Pick two. And Brad Pitt is a tough boss. He said that we had to build houses that were safe, affordable, green, adaptive, durable, designed by award-winning architects, designed around the residents' needs. Did I mention affordable? And absolutely no compromises. And so I believe that it's our refusal to compromise that has allowed us to innovate in some pretty cool ways that we'll get to talk about. So how did we start? Well, Brad's passionate about architecture, and so he worked with a firm called Graft to reach out to architects from all over the world, and New Orleans as well, really tapping the best minds in the field. And then we asked them to work for free. And we asked them to consider the residents of their lower Ninth Ward their most important clients, because for too long, profits have been the priority for affordable housing developers. And the result are houses that look like this. This is a house in the Ninth Ward built slab on grade below sea level. And so during Katrina, these houses were washed off their foundations when the levees broke. And it left neighborhoods completely devastated. And so when people ask me, is it responsible to build in an area where we know that it's going to flood again, we can talk about the levee system, we can talk about wetlands restoration, we can talk about sea level rise, but the reality is that the decision to rebuild in these areas had already been made when Make It Right was founded. So for us, the question wasn't whether to rebuild, it was how to rebuild in a way that's more responsible, more sustainable, more adaptive. And so beyond just rebuilding in the lower Ninth Ward that way, we wanted to raise the question nationally. This is a shot of what was being built there anyway. So these homes like this is almost the same thing that was there before were being rebuilt. And so we took an approach of trying to make these homes more adaptive. So we decided that the symbolism of building in one of the worst hit areas would help us raise the question of what it will take for designers to design homes that are adaptive and affordable, and what it will take for builders to build the right way on a national level. And sometimes it takes a disaster, whether it's a hurricane or an oil spill, to drive that type of change. So what do homes that are adaptively designed for their environment look like? Well, if they're Make It Right homes, then they can look like this, or like this, or this, or even this. This is a new duplex design that we have. And we know that the neighborhood's going to flood again. It's really just a matter of time. And so our designs address that in several ways. One way is elevation. So Make It Right homes are elevated at least 5 feet above grade, which is 2 feet above the federal requirement, and at least 1 foot above the sustained Katrina level of flooding in this area. Homeowners actually have the option to build as high as 8 feet, which is this house here, which is under construction. We do have one house which is not elevated, and it's designed by my friend Tom Main at Morphosis, and it's an amazing design. It's actually designed to float in the event of a storm. So the foundation floats along two steel masts that hold it in place. And we also incorporate other safety features like this example into all the Make It Right homes. This is a type of fabric. It's called hurricane fabric. It's made of Kevlar, and it's designed to protect windows and glass doors in the event of a storm. It's a lot faster and easier to install than having to go to the hardware store, buy plywood, hammer it up. And so in addition to safety features like this, sustainability is a real core value at Make It Right. And so I can't say it better than Brad said it here. He said, sustainability to me is a social justice issue. To create something that's equitable and fair and provides dignity for the families is absolutely essential. And so what does that mean for us? How do we measure that? Well, first of all, green building sustainability is really our baseline, not some ideal. And we measure it in a lot of ways. One way is that we work with the U.S. Green Building Council to certify all the Make It Right homes LEED Platinum, which is the highest level of certification that they award. And just to make it a little harder on ourselves, we decided to base our building and design principles on William McDonough and Michael Braungart's cradle-to-cradle philosophy. And if you haven't read this book, I'd encourage you to do so, or listen to some of Bill's speeches online. The basic idea is that everything that we make can have a positive impact on the environment, on the economy, and on society as a whole. And so what's that look like in terms of the Make It Right houses? Well, for one, we rely on renewable solar energy. And in addition to energy production, we focus on we focus on homes that are designed actually based on traditional New Orleans design. So in this home, you see high ceilings, large windows for daylighting, passive heating and cooling, covered porches for shading, and in addition to that, materials. So what are we thinking when we design homes that are made of toxic materials that we know cause cancer and pollute the indoor air environment for our children? So all the materials that we use at Make It Right are evaluated according to this cradle-to-cradle assessment. And our goal is to not use any materials that are harmful to people or the environment. And that's not always possible, either because of cost or lack of availability. But whenever we have a product that we don't like, that we have to use, we flag it, and we're actively looking for replacements all the time. And so when we find one, then that puts us one step closer to our ideal of a cradle-to-cradle home. So what are some of these materials that I'm talking about? Well, for one, we use Benjamin Moore No VOC paint, Shaw carpets. This is their Eco Edge carpet line. It's 100% recyclable, so they'll actually take this carpet at the end of its life cycle and turn it into new carpet. The wood products for the cabinets are all sustainably harvested and don't contain any formaldehyde, which was a huge problem for FEMA trailers. The drywall is 100% recycled material. It's made in the USA. And basically, all this comes together to when we build a house that's designed to have a positive impact on people and on the environment. So one of the things that we heard from residents when we conducted design charrettes early in the process was that rising cost of energy placed a strain even before Katrina on their household budgets. And so our goal was to design a home that used as little energy as possible. And so we did that by producing energy through solar panels. So on a sunny day, all of our houses produce more electricity than they use, and they feed that excess back to the grid. We also do that through energy conservation. So here you see spray foam insulation that we use to seal the entire building envelope, which makes a Make It Right home about 10 times tighter than a conventional home, which means that the HVAC system doesn't have to work as hard, which saves energy. Other energy conservation features include LED or CFL lighting, Energy Star appliances, tankless hot water heaters, and all of this results in about a 75% reduction in energy usage for these homes. So what's that translate to in terms of dollars and cents? Well, this is my energy bill from a couple months ago. And you can see it's pretty high. I live in a conventional home. It's about the same size as the Make It Right home's, about 1,300 square feet. And this is an energy bill from one of our residents, same period of time. This is Mr. Foots. And it's amazing to think about $200 a month, what that means for a working family. We're talking about improving the quality of life, so they're able to send their children to after-school programs, buy fresh groceries, buy computers. Mr. Foots actually made a donation. So I'm starting to tear up. I talk about it. He made a donation to Make It Right with some of his savings last year. So I'm sure everyone wants to know, how much does it cost? Well, there are two answers to that question. It costs a lot at first. And so let me explain that. So when we set out to do this, we knew that we were taking on something that no one else was willing to do, and we knew that there would be an upfront cost associated with that. And it manifests itself in many ways. One example is that we work with local contractors to train them on installing new green building products and materials. And I'll tell you a secret about the building industry, if a contractor doesn't know how much something's going to cost him to install, he's going to quote you twice as much as he thinks it might actually cost. And so we paid that premium because we knew that the second time that contractor was going to be able to quote it accurately, and as a result we've seen labor costs drop by as much as 50% on our houses. And the other benefit is that when Charles McAfee, who's one of our GCs, goes to install a tankless water heater at your home, he's able to quote that accurately, and so that upfront cost is reduced not just for us but for others in the market. So using some strategies that we'll talk about, the answer to this question of how much does it cost to build a LEED Platinum home designed by award-winning architects now is nothing more. And right now we're building about the same cost as other nonprofit developers in New Orleans who are building conventionally. But our goal is to actually push the cost of green building below market rate. And we actually think that we're going to achieve this with our current phase. So right now we're building 30 homes, and during this phase we expect to hit this price point of $130 per square foot and even push below that. Because we think that when we're able to build very green houses at below market rates, that's when we have the potential to really change the building industry, because at that point there's no reason or no excuse to build a house any other way. And so how do we do that? How do we drive this cost down? Well, we take a laboratory approach. There's no one answer for how to build green affordably. So we experiment a lot. We convene groups of experts. We call them engineering summits. We'll invite architects, engineers, product suppliers, contractors, subcontractors, and we'll all get in a room and we target a specific system within the house. We take a lowest hanging fruit approach. So the most expensive systems offer the greatest opportunity for cost reduction. So we'll ask questions like, can we improve this design to reduce waste? Or can we make this easier to install? Easier to install is faster to install, is cheaper to install. And so some of the innovations that have come out of this approach are really startling. So this is a picture of one of the first homes that we built. Notice the concrete columns. And this is a picture of the second time that we built this home, and we were able to reduce the concrete used by about 60%. And we were able to do that with additional data, so we had better information on the soils and a new foundation design. Another example I'll use is this product here. This is a light switch. It's called Verve, and it actually connects to the light bulb wirelessly. And so you can mount this anywhere on your wall. It's very easy to install. You can unclip it from the wall, walk around with it. You can put it on your nightstand. I mean, that's kind of cool. But the reason that we like it is because this results in about a 70% reduction in the cost to install electrical on our houses. So we're using better materials or innovative materials so that we use fewer materials at a lower cost. So we actually know what it would cost, or what it would look like if we were to build a house where cost was our main priority. And so we think that we can build a house like this that's a LEED Platinum, meets all of the LEED Platinum requirements and meets all of our cradle-to-cradle requirements for less than $100,000. But we don't think that it's right to ask a family who did everything right, who well, except trust the Corps of Engineers when they said that the levees were safe, but who did everything right, owned their home, and lost it during the storm and has been displaced, spread out all over the country since, to come back and live in a box, even if it is a LEED Platinum box. And so when we start to add design features that make a house a home for Miss Fletcher, or Miss Taylor, or Miss Leggett, or Miss Guy and her grandchildren, that adds cost. But we think that that added cost is worth it. And if you don't agree with that, then you don't have to give us any money. And if you do like that approach, then here's my shameless plug. So we've built 50 houses so far, and okay, all right, need more time. We've built 50 houses so far, and the neighborhood is really beginning to feel like a community again. But whenever I walk around, I still see all of these empty lots where houses used to be and representing families that may still want to come home. And I can't help but think about all of the work that's still left to do. 50 homes, our goal of 150 homes is still just a drop in the bucket. We need a grocery store. We need other infrastructure. We need churches to be rebuilt so congregations have a place to pray. And sometimes when I think about that, it gets completely overwhelming. Whenever it does, I can talk to one of our residents and draw some strength and courage and inspiration from their dedication to rebuild their lives and community. And to tell you the truth, they should be the ones on the stage, because it's one thing to hear it from me, but it's another thing to hear Make It Right residents talk about their homes. And so I thought you'd like to listen to this. So can we roll the second video?
These are the 15 solar panels that does all the energy to the house. My electric bill is $23 a month.
My light bill last month was $50, and that was amazing.
See the slats in the side? It catches the rainwater, it goes down, and it waters the garden on the side of the house. I have 5 guava trees down there. Water bills are cheaper. The electric bills are cheaper.
There are no VOCs in the chemicals used for the paint. All of the appliances are energy efficient. So basically, this house affords us a new way of living.
It's pretty awesome, huh? All right, so what's next for Make It Right? Well, we're going to continue to build houses in the lower Ninth Ward in New Orleans. We think that continuing to drive the costs of green ever lower and the quality ever higher and the level of sustainability ever higher is really a never-ending goal. So we're going to keep building in New Orleans. But we're also looking for ways to scale what we've learned. We think that we've got a lot of best practices, and we want to try to do a better job effectively communicating with other nonprofit builders in the building industry in general. And so one approach that we've taken is to move our engineering summits out of our office and into an online forum. And so this is where our architects and engineers, product suppliers communicate about new innovative approaches. And so all of these conversations are documented and searchable, and we don't actually have to stop building houses in order to document. It's happening all the time. And so our idea is that we could open this up to the public and crowdsource even more innovative approaches. Something else which I'm excited to show you, and you'll be some of the first to see, is a multifamily building design that we've got. We've been working on this, and we think that we can build this building at a cost lower than conventional construction, and it is designed to be LEED Platinum and meet the same cradle-to-cradle material requirements as our homes. And so we think that we could really roll out beyond New Orleans to other markets around the U.S. and hopefully have a substantial impact on the building industry. Because at Make It Right, we don't think that it should take a disaster to make green building accessible for everybody. Thank you.